Hello, everyone, and welcome to the University of California, Merced, our most recent Become a Bobcat virtual event. We will be discussing understanding your financial aid offer letter this evening. My name is Ricky Hill, and I'm an e-recruiter and engagement specialist here at UC Merced. Thank you once again for joining us. Before we get started, allow me to give you a couple of quick tips. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen by clicking the audio settings button. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, you can do so by clicking View Options at the upper portion of your screen. Most importantly, this event is for you to get your questions answered by using the Q&A button in the lower portion of the screen. Go ahead and send in your questions. We are fully staffed and ready to get to all of your important questions this evening, both behind the scenes as well in a live Q&A session at the end of this exciting event. Once again, this evening, we will be focusing on financial aid. This is one of our events during the Become a Bobcat, a virtual series. A quick overview of what that series will entail. You will have an opportunity to learn about our academic programs, course content, research opportunities, as well as also have an opportunity to listen to many student panels. Over the next couple of months, we will be offering you over 40 events. So you can take a look at the website and get registered for as many of those events that interest you. At this time, it is my great pleasure to have Ron Radney, our Director of Financial Aid, get things started.
Thank you, Ricky. I'm so excited that you're all joining us tonight for this presentation. Like Ricky said, we have a lot of staff behind the scenes that are ready to answer your questions as we go through the presentation. And then hopefully we'll have some time at the end for some live Q&A. So with that, let's get started. Just want to say that we'll be covering several topics tonight, so there'll be lots of information. We'll be reviewing each section of your financial aid offer letter, explaining what the verification process is and what you need to do if you have been selected for verification. Describing the UC Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan, providing a summary of the types of gift aid available, as well as the type of self-help aid available, and we'll define both of those. I'll also explain what is considered the cost of attendance, how housing changes may impact your aid, what direct costs are, types of appeals in special circumstances, our deferred payment plan option, and I will show you some helpful resources and provide some important deadlines at the end. Okay, so let's get started. So here's a sample of our financial aid award offer letter that is printed and mailed to our new students. It has 2 pages. The first page directs you to your student web portal to view your award information, messages, your checklists of outstanding requirements needed to complete your file. As you see here, I will inform you it will inform you that if you've been selected for verification, which we'll cover later in this presentation. We'll also indicate if you are eligible for the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan, which we'll also cover in this presentation. It will let you know how we will communicate to you by email using the email on your aid application until you register for classes, at which point we will use your UC Merced email address. And then finally, it provides our Students First Center phone number, should you have any questions. So let's dissect the offer letter. The second page of the offer letter provides your initial aid offer for the academic year 21-22. There are also descriptions on the right-hand side that explain the different types of aid, which are here. The gift aid section, the first section, lists an estimate of the free aid that you may be eligible to receive based on your aid application data. The self-help section, which is the second section, lists such aid as federal work study, self-help aid, which is like work study, which is an opportunity for you to earn money through working on campus, which we'll talk about in a few more slides. as well as student loans borrowed by either the student and or the parent. You are under no obligation to accept any of these self-help awards, or you may request a lesser amount. I'll go over this in more detail about self-help aid a little later in the presentation. Just above the third section here, you will see the housing preference. This example says on campus, and it also provides an expected family contribution for the student, which is calculated by your aid application data. The third section provides a breakdown of your cost of attendance. This represents our estimated budget of what it will cost you to live and attend school for the 9 months that you're here for the year. It includes an estimate of your tuition and fees, personal expenses, room and board to live on campus, transportation, and UC health insurance, which may be waived if you have comparable health insurance, which we'll also talk about later in the presentation, as well as books and supplies. The last section lists your estimated direct costs, which are costs paid directly to the university and billed through your UC Merced student account, such as tuition and fees, room and board if you're living on campus, and UC health insurance if you're not eligible for a waiver. Other costs such as personal expenses, transportation, and books and supplies are considered indirect costs because those are not things you're paying directly to the university. This section provides an estimate of how much of the direct costs your aid will cover. By taking the direct costs minus the total gift aid equals your net cost, which gives you an idea of how much self-help aid in loans or work study you may need to cover your university balance. Again, these are all estimates because your actual costs may change depending on the type of room selected. If you're in a single versus a double or a triple, and which meal plan you select. Okay, financial aid offers are based on basically 4 factors. Your estimated cost of attendance, which you see here is tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, personal expenses, and health insurance, as well as your expected family contribution from your aid application, which is calculated based on multiple factors, including income, number of household, number in college, etc. If you meet the March 2nd priority deadline is another factor, and your enrollment level, if you're full-time or part-time, also plays a part in determining your award. Some forms of aid, such as gift aid, subsidized loan, and federal work study, require that you have what's considered financial need, which is cost of attendance minus your expected family contribution must be a positive number, which means you have financial need. And so we can award these forms of aid, gift aid, subsidized loans, or work study, up to the amount of your financial need. While unsubsidized loans and Parent Plus loans do not require financial need. So regardless of your income, even if you have a very high income, you could still be eligible for unsubsidized loans and parent loans at a minimum. Regardless of the type of aid you receive, the total cannot exceed your total cost of attendance. Okay, earlier I mentioned a process called verification. So students are selected by the federal government for 2 reasons for verification, either randomly or obvious errors on your aid application. If you're selected for verification, it means that we must verify that the information you listed on your FAFSA or DREAM application is correct. We do that by requiring documentation from you, such as tax returns, W-2 statements, or other forms. If there's a discrepancy between the forms that you've submitted to us and your aid application, we will correct your aid application electronically with the government or the state and recalculate your aid eligibility. The verification documents needed are listed in your web portal checklist. The deadline to submit all checklist items is June 1st. Please note that you will not be able to accept self-help awards while under verification review until our verification review is completed. If you have questions about any of the forms, please contact our Students First Center. Their contact information will be on our last slide. Some of you may have heard about the UC Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan, which began back in 2009. It is a promise that students whose family incomes are below $80,000 will receive enough gift aid from all sources, federal, state, and institution, to cover the UC system-wide tuition and fees. So you will not see a specific award called Blue and Gold in your aid package, but instead, if you add up your gift aid, it should total at least the $12,570 if you meet the qualifications. For more information about Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan, please visit our website and click on the resources drop-down menu, and you'll see it right here. Here are some common types of gift aid. For resident or non-resident students who filed or completed a FAFSA, students with expected family contributions below $5,846 may be eligible for a federal Pell Grant. Students with a 0 expected family contribution may also receive an SEOG grant. Those funds are very limited, so we award those funds until they're exhausted. I'm talking about the SEOG grant, not the Pell Grant. Resident students who completed a FAFSA or DREAM application may be eligible for a Cal Grant if they meet the income and GPA requirements. And resident students who submitted their aid application by the March 2nd priority deadline and who have remaining financial need may be awarded an institutional Bobcat grant. Scholarships. So all new students are automatically considered for institutional scholarships based on the admissions application data. So there's no specific scholarship application for the institution that you need to complete as an incoming student. We award need-based and non-need-based scholarships. Students are not required to have an aid application on file to receive a scholarship. We also advertise outside scholarship opportunities on our website, which you can periodically check. And if you receive any outside scholarships that you're bringing in with you, please report them to us via your web portal so that we may add them to your financial aid award package. The state of California also offers what's called a middle class scholarship for resident students with family incomes and assets below $191,000. If eligible, you may receive an award up to 40% of the UC system-wide tuition and fees. If you have an estimated award in your offer letter, then we believe that you may meet the qualifications. Eligibility will be confirmed with the California Student Aid Commission by August 1st. And if you're confirmed, then your award will go from an estimated status to a confirmed status. Federal Work Study. So if you were awarded Federal Work Study, this is a program where you can work on campus and up to 18 hours per week and can earn up to the amount of the award for the year. You will receive a bi-weekly paycheck for your hours worked. Because Federal Work Study funds are earned throughout the year, these funds are not applied to your university account balance like other aid, which means you can use your paychecks for personal expenses throughout the year. If you're interested, please accept your Federal Work Study Award in the web portal and check the jobs postings in August for available positions. If you were not awarded work study, you can still work on campus as a student assistant. These jobs are also posted online. So before you consider borrowing a student loan, it's important that you understand the terms of the loan first. So we have basically 4 types of loans. A California Dream Loan for our students who have completed a DREAM application. If you're awarded a California Dream Loan and you accept it, the interest rate is 2.75% until the June 30th of this year. And the federal government changes the rates, or the state government changes the rates on July 1st of each year. So those will be updated after July 1st. No interest or payments until 6 months after the student leaves school or drops below half-time enrollment, whichever comes first. Students who completed a FAFSA may receive a subsidized loan if they have financial need. It has a loan fee of 1.057% with an interest rate of 2.75%. And that will be the interest rate for the life of the loan. All of these will be if you borrow the loan. No interest or payments until 6 months after the student leaves school, graduates, or drops below half-time enrollment. Unsubsidized loans, same loan fees, same interest rate. The difference here is that interest begins immediately when the loan is fully dispersed. If you elect not to pay the interest while you're in school, the interest will be capitalized into your loan at the point that you either graduate or leave school. Regular payments begin 6 months after the student leaves or drops below half-time enrollment. And then there's also what's called a Parent Plus loan, where the parent may borrow on behalf of their student. So the parent is the borrower, not the student. And the loan fees are higher, 4.228, and the interest rate is higher, it's 5.3. There is a credit approval needed for a parent loan. Interest begins immediately and payments begin when the loan is fully dispersed. However, payments can be deferred while the student is enrolled at least half-time. Early in the presentation, I mentioned the mandatory UC health insurance. Students are automatically enrolled unless they submit a waiver certifying that they have their own comparable insurance by the waiver deadline. For more information, please visit the URL listed on the screen, which goes to our health center information on UC health insurance. Okay, housing changes can affect your financial aid. Here we have an example of an on-time, zero EFC resident student living on campus, off campus, and at home. So notice that the subtotals here for on campus is a little over 38,000, while the off campus is about 29,000 and the at home is about 28,000. However, the net cost at the bottom after the gift aid is about the same for on campus and off campus. They're each about 7,500. That is because you cannot exceed your cost of attendance. So as your budget category changes from on campus to off campus, so does your aid. The net price provides an estimate of the amount of self-help aid that you may need. Note in this example, if the student is not eligible for UC health insurance waiver, their Bobcat grant would be increased. So if they were not eligible for this waiver, of course, the cost would be higher and their Bobcat grant would go up. Also note that all first year students were packaged as on campus due to the campus residency policy. So your award will be updated if and when you are exempted from living on campus, and there is a waiver process for being exempted through the housing office. New transfers and other students were packaged as off campus. Your award will be updated if and when you are given an on-campus housing assignment. So if you were off campus and you want to live on campus, once that housing assignment is made, we'll be notified and then we will adjust your aid accordingly. As I mentioned earlier, when we were reviewing the offer letter, direct costs are those costs paid directly to the university and billed through your UC Merced student account, such as tuition and fees, room and board if you're living on campus, and health insurance if you're not eligible for a waiver. If we look at the direct costs for the same student from the example in the previous slide, you'll see that there is an estimated direct cost difference of about $3,900 for on-campus and an estimated credit balance of about $5,500 for off-campus and at home down here at the bottom. So in this example, the credit balance for off-campus or at home could be used to help cover some of the indirect costs, such as room and board, books and supplies, transportation, or personal expenses for living off-campus. The cost of attendance numbers on the financial aid offer letter are only estimates. To get a better sense of your actual costs, we created what we call a direct cost worksheet, which is online, and you can access at the URL at the top here. When you log in, this tool will pre-populate an estimate of your direct costs, as well as the amount of gift aid that you've been awarded. The cool thing about this tool is that you can manually manipulate the costs and it will automatically recalculate. So for example, room and board charges, if you know the actual charges based on your room type and meal plan selection, you can enter it. Health insurance, if you are eligible for a waiver, you can remove this cost. Non-resident tuition, if you're eligible for an AB 540 waiver by filing a statement of legal residence or SLR or to the registrar's office, then you can remove the non-resident tuition amount. And if you're also, you can also enter any outside scholarships you may be receiving in the scholarship amount, and the whole thing will recalculate. Now, please note that the tool will not automatically recalculate your aid, but at least it will provide a better estimate of your direct costs until your actual charges are posted in late July. So your housing charges, your meal plan charges, all of your charges, your actual charges will be posted by late July. If you had any circumstances that prevented you from submitting your aid application by the March 2nd priority deadline, you may submit what we call an on-time status appeal after June 1st. We will only approve this appeal once during your undergraduate study, so you get a one-time appeal as an undergraduate. If approved, we will recalculate your aid as if you were an on-time applicant. So if you weren't an on-time applicant and you missed out on some of the institutional aid, there is an opportunity for you to file an appeal. Also, when you completed a financial aid application, it asks for your prior year household income. We realize that your income may have changed since then. If you have experienced a significant reduction in your household income due to unemployment, underemployment, disability, parent separation, or divorce, you may submit what's called a special circumstance form with documentation of your current income. If approved, we will recalculate your aid based on your current income situation. Just a note here, if you were selected for verification, we still need to complete your verification before we start processing a special circumstance appeal. Lastly, if you have significant expenses not included in your cost of attendance, such as out-of-pocket medical, dental, optical expenses, transportation expenses, or additional expenses related to a disability, you may submit what we call a cost of attendance adjustment form. If approved, it will increase your cost of attendance and we will award additional self-help aid. If you have a balance on your account of more than $500 that is not covered by financial aid, our Student Business Services Office offers a deferred payment plan that allows you to pay your balance in 4 monthly installments. then those would be equal monthly installments. To enroll in the deferred payment plan, it's a $40 charge per term that you elect to participate. And for more information, please search deferred payment plan on our campus website or contact the Student Business Services office. We offer online resources that can answer many of your questions. This is the financial aid website, and this is just a view of the drop downs at the top. So we have filing your aid application, applying for summer aid, types of grants, loans, scholarships, work study information. As you can see here, award notifications, steps to succeed, verification process. We have all the forms that you may need to complete that are on your checklist. We have information about the Blue and Gold Opportunity Program, direct costs, financial wellness, financial aid videos, other helpful links, a parent guide for parents to look at that has financial aid information, your portal. So there's lots of great information. Cost of attendance adjustment. So here's some of the forms I just talked about. On-time status appeals, scholarship appeals, special circumstance appeal. So please visit our website, lots of information on it that can help answer most of your questions. In the bottom left of our webpage, here you will see that we have an FATV link, and this is a financial aid TV link, which is a video library for quick videos in English and Spanish on all sorts of financial aid related topics. Anything from how to complete an aid application to the verification process. I mean, it has everything in here. So if you would rather watch a video than read information, this is a great resource for you. You can also follow us on social media. We have a Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, social media channels, and you can follow us on those channels for important updates and deadlines. We have a financial wellness center that offers free coaching sessions on personal budgeting, money management, borrowing, credit, and more. This is a screenshot of the new website we are getting ready to launch in April. So you're getting a sneak preview of it. We have an outstanding staff ready to provide you with financial wellness skills that will be useful while you're a student as well as throughout your life. Please take advantage of these valuable services. Some important deadlines to be aware of each year as you apply for aid. Obviously, October 1st is when the FAFSA or DREAM application opens for the upcoming year. March 2nd is the priority filing deadline in California for the FAFSA or DREAM application. June 1st is the financial aid document deadline where you have to submit all your verification documents to us by that point. And instruction begins this year on August 25th. So disbursement of your financial aid will actually begin about 10 days prior to the start of instruction, when we will disperse the fall portion of your aid. And then in January is when we would disperse the spring portion of your aid. If you have questions about this presentation or about your specific financial aid, or anything about academic transcripts, deferred payment plan, or anything else, please contact our Students First Center. If they can't answer your question, they will get you to somebody who can. And I think we are ready for some live Q&A.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ron, for that very informative and great presentation. We have been receiving quite a few questions, and as I mentioned at the start of our event, we are fully staffed with all hands on deck behind the scenes, answering those questions as quickly as they possibly can, doing an amazing job, I might mention. A couple of questions that we will start off with here. Do first-year students get more money than all other students that are further along in their education?
No, we award everybody the same way across the board. Some other universities do kind of tier their awards, but at UC Merced, we don't do that. We award everybody. So your award, if you were a freshman this year versus a sophomore this year, a junior or a senior, if you had the same expected family contribution and the same living arrangements and all of that, you would see the same award pretty much if everything was exactly the same. So yeah, grade level doesn't matter. The student loan amounts that you can borrow do increase as you become a sophomore, junior, and senior, and that's because federal regulations allow the loans to increase as you progress grade levels.
Great, thank you for that, Ron. So the next question, someone is asking for a little bit more of an explanation between what the difference is between cost of attendance and direct cost.
Well, cost of attendance, like you said, includes not only your tuition and fees and your room and board, and books and supplies, transportation, personal expenses. And personal expenses would be like personal living expenses, like toiletries and things that you would need just to live, right? Those aren't things that you're paying to the university. You're having to buy those things yourself. So those are considered indirect costs because you're not directly paying those to the university. The same with transportation. You have to pay for your gas or your airfare or whatever it is to get to and from school. Depending on if you live in state, out of state, if you're commuting to school, if you have a car on campus and you have to pay for gas. But those aren't expenses you're paying directly to the school. Again, those are indirect expenses that you're having to pay, but not to the school. So, and the books and supplies, you can buy your books and supplies on Amazon, you can buy them through our bookstore, but you're not paying those directly to the university. So when we talk about direct costs, those are things that we will bill you for on your university student account. So that would be your tuition and fees, your health insurance, and if you're living on campus, your room and board. Everything else is considered indirect costs.
Very good, thank you. Before we move on to the next question, I would like to just toss out a reminder to everyone here that we will be offering the PowerPoint slides that you've seen tonight in Spanish, fully translated. They are actually already available on the Become a Bobcat website. We will make that website available to you in the chat, so you'll have an opportunity to take a look at those, like I said, translated into Spanish. And within a couple of days to a week, we should also have an audio version of this full presentation fully translated as well on Become a Bobcat on that website. So once again, we will put that in the chat for your easy access. If a student gets a scholarship from UC Merced, how would they know if that's something that will renew every year or if it just covers just the first year?
Typically, we identify scholarships as renewable, and if you have a question about it, feel free to contact our Students First Center and they'll get you in touch with our scholarship coordinator who can tell you for sure if it's a renewable scholarship. There are certain scholarships that don't have renewable in the name. For instance, if you received a Regent scholarship, that is renewable for 4 years. It doesn't say it's renewable, but in the letter, the Regent Scholar letter that we would have sent out to you, it would have said that it was renewable. We have a few others that are renewable. A lot of our scholarships are single year scholarships, but we do have some renewable scholarships as well. When you become a sophomore, there is a scholarship aid application or a scholarship application process we have on campus to apply for scholarships. But as a new student, there isn't. You don't need to do anything. We just use your admissions information. But if you have a question, if it's renewable, just contact our Students First Center and we'll get an answer for you.
Very good, thank you. And if also one of our behind the scenes chatters, if you all could drop into the chat the contact information for the Students First Center. They have a great website, very informative as well, with links to financial aid in the registrar's office, and there's a phone number where you can reach them. And I do believe they're also offering Zoom appointments, which is very special right now, so you can actually meet with them face to face. So we'll get that information out to you as well. The next question coming in Is the Bobcat grant given every year? And if so, how does that money change? Will it be a set amount each year or can it vary?
Now, because your aid application, you have to file a new aid application each year. Your aid could actually change from year to year. Even if your income doesn't change each year, the government changes the schedule for like Pell Grant and the amount of funds that we have from year to year for institutional aid changes. So we can't tell you that your aid's going to look exactly the same next year and the year after. But if your EFC is fairly close to what it is, your aid will probably look similar. It won't be exactly the same, but it will probably be very similar if you're meeting the on-time application deadline and EFC is the same and all of that.
Great. And Ron, can you explain to our audience what federal work study is and how that compares to non-federal work study positions?
Sure. So federal work study is that we get federal funds to employ students. And so we use 75% of the funds from the government and 25% from the institution to employ those students in on-campus work study positions. The only difference between a work study position and a non-work study position is the source of funds. It has nothing to do with the type of job or how many hours you can work or any of that. It really is the source of funds. If you're a non-work study student, the source of funds is the department that is employing you. They are fully paying for your wages. Whereas work study, like I said, we're getting money from the federal government to employ you. So 75% of your wages are actually being subsidized by the government. That's why you can only earn up to the amount that you've been awarded in work study.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Ron. And we also had a question that I saw come through regarding study abroad. Can you touch on how financial aid awards either do or do not apply to study abroad programs?
Sure. So study abroad programs, if you are a financial aid applicant and you are interested in study abroad, and it's an eligible aid study abroad program through the UC, then what we do is we get the cost of that program and we adjust your cost of attendance with the cost of the study abroad program, and we revise your aid. So you are eligible for aid as a study abroad student as long as you're in an eligible program. And those study abroad programs last for either a semester or a year, depending on the program. But the first point of contact for you would be to inquire about the study abroad program with our institutional, our international student office. And then we have a financial aid advisor that can help you with determining what your eligibility for that study abroad program would look like.
Great. And the next question coming in does have to do with the financial aid awards and how they may or may not be impacted or affected by a student's living situation. So in other words, if they're either on campus or off campus or living at home with families, how does that impact their financial aid award?
So here we go. This is the same student living on campus, off campus, and at home. And this is the amount of the gift aid and the amount of the cost. So the gift aid, you see changes depending on their living arrangements, but the net price stays about the same. So the on-campus cost of attendance is the highest, and then off-campus is the next highest, and living at home is the least amount. But that means that because aid can't exceed your total cost of attendance, that we have to adjust your aid. And that is typically in your Bobcat grant and student loans that we adjust your aid. But your overall net price remains very similar. So as your cost to live on campus versus off campus versus at home changes, so does your aid. And if you're concerned, if you want to know about your specific aid situation and how it will change, you're welcome to contact our Student First Center, and they will refer you to one of our financial aid advisors who can work with you to let you know what that aid would look like if you change from on campus to off campus or at home.
Great. And we do still have that contact information for the Students First Center once again. So you can reach them website, Zoom, or email, or by phone. And also just a quick reminder to everyone, anytime you see one of these important slides up on your screen, it would be a great opportunity for you to grab your smartphone or do a screenshot of that information. We understand that there's a lot coming at you tonight and through these award letters. And so if you need to reference it again, you can. Also, as I said before, we will have information available online on the websites, as well as all of the chat links that you are seeing there as well. You may want to go ahead and start clicking on some of those so that they open in a separate browser and you can look back at those. We do understand that many times in the chat, you may not be able to copy and paste a link easily. Sometimes it just doesn't allow that feature in Zoom. So if you'd like to go ahead and start clicking on those, stay with us here, but you'll be able to take a look at those later on. And Ron, the next question I'd like to toss out would be, when can students begin accepting their financial aid awards?
They should be able, as soon as the award is sent out. If they're not selected for verification, they can start accepting their awards now. If they're selected for verification, they have to complete the verification process before they can accept all of their awards. Any gift aid, grants, or scholarships will automatically be accepted, but self-help aid, such as work study and loans, will be on hold until you complete the verification process. So if you're not selected for verification, you should be able to accept those awards now.
What types of steps do people need to follow? Like, what is the next step in the process at this point? Once they've been accepted and then they receive their offer letter, what do they do next?
So the next thing would be to log into your student portal and check your checklist items to see what items we need to complete your file so that we can complete our processing for your aid. So you would log into your My UC Merced web portal and click on your checklist, and then start submitting those documents as soon as possible so that we can complete your checklist and finalize your financial aid.
What options do students have in terms of paying their tuition, whether or not they're paying out of pocket or once financial aid is covered as much as it will? If there's anything left over, what type of options and where do students go to make those payments?
Okay, so again, on your student web portal, there'll be where you can get into your university account and see what your charges are and see what aid has been applied to your account once aid begins dispersing about 10 days prior to the instruction beginning. And you can see what balance is remaining. At that point, you can elect to make a deferred payment plan with our Student Business Services office for the balance, or you can just pay that balance. And on our Student Business Services website, it gives you options for how to make the payments.
So do Parent Plus loans get dispersed to parents or to the university? The response to that from one of our colleagues is that Parent Plus loans will disperse to the student's account if there is more than enough to cover the balance on the account, or if a refund is generated, then the parents actually get to make that decision when they complete the Parent Plus loan application. It's up to them. They will select whether or not that refund will go directly to them, meaning the parents, or to the student to be used for other needs. Great. Can we talk a little bit about Cal Grant and how that would show up on a student's financial aid award?
When you complete the financial aid application, that data is sent to the state of residency. So being a California resident, if you've completed a FAFSA, the FAFSA information would be sent to the California Student Aid Commission, and they will take your data and combine it with your GPA data that is sent from your school, and they will determine your Cal Grant eligibility. We then receive a roster of all the students who have listed our institution as the institution that they plan to attend. And from those rosters, we certify that the student is eligible for Cal Grant. A lot of times students will change their mind about which school they want to attend, and they need to make sure that they update and add our school to Cal Grant so that they show up on the roster and we can finalize their Cal Grant eligibility.
Great. Now, I do also see questions coming in regarding verification. So I know that that is a pretty broad topic, but Ron, can you give us a little bit more information in terms of verification, what that exactly means if someone is selected for verification and how someone can make sure that they do complete their checklist?
Sure. So again, verification means that you either made some really obvious errors on your application and the government flagged you for verification, or they randomly selected you for verification. And they do randomly select about 1/3 of all applicants each year. And so if you're selected for verification, then we will post on your checklist item in your web portal all the documents that we need to complete your verification. And those are typically things like a tax return or a tax transcript or W-2 forms or things that we can use to verify that what you put on your aid application is accurate. And so that's basically what verification means, is that we have to be able to certify that what you put on your application is true and accurate. And we do that by requesting different documents and forms from you. So go to your checklist in your portal and like I said, make sure that you submit all of those documents as soon as possible so we can start processing your verification if you're selected. Did I cover it or was there something else?
No, I think you did a great
Okay.
job. Like I said, we all know that verification is a pretty broad topic, so there's lots of pieces to that. But I think, again, the Student First Center is always a wonderful resource to reach out to them, and they're very knowledgeable with all topics, financial aid admissions and registrar. Once again, we did drop that information into the chat, so you can reach out to them as well. If you ever have any questions about your checklist items, they can walk you through that as well.
I would add one other thing is that if you're having trouble getting a copy of your tax transcript or some other verification document, please contact our Students First Center and they can maybe help walk you through the process of getting those documents.
Now, if a student has received their financial aid award offer and they feel like maybe something was left out, maybe they feel that they should qualify for more based on their circumstances over the last couple of years, is there an appeal process?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we have a special circumstance appeal process. If the information that you put on your aid application has changed, meaning the aid application asks for prior year information. So not last year's information, but the year before that. And obviously things could have changed dramatically for you in the last 2 years. So we do have a special circumstance form that you can complete if you have lost income for any reason. And in that form, we also ask for documentation of what your current income is, and then we will recalculate your aid eligibility based on your current income. But if nothing has really changed and you feel like maybe you should have gotten more money for one reason or another, you might contact our Student First Center so you can get in touch with one of our financial aid advisors, because there is a possibility that you entered something incorrectly on your aid application. Sometimes we see errors like a student put that they earned $1,000, but they put cents into it, and so it looks like they actually earned $10,000 or $100,000 because they were thinking, I put 0.00. Well, you don't put any cents in what you're actually entering. So there could have been a mistake, or sometimes somebody will put the same amount of income and the same, like they earned $40,000 in income, and then they put $40,000 in taxes. Well, you're not going to have the same amount of income in taxes. So there's some of those errors that may have occurred. Those are just a few examples, but our financial aid advisors can certainly walk through your aid application with you to make sure that you filled out everything correctly.
Ron, can you talk a little bit about what a CalVet tuition waiver is and how someone may qualify?
Well, we have a veterans coordinator in our registrar's office who works with our veteran students on all CalVet fee waivers. So my suggestion to that student is to contact our VA coordinator, Angelica, in our registrar's office, and talk with her about your eligibility for your CalVet fee waiver. And then once we are made aware of what your eligibility is, then we will make sure that it's coordinated with your financial aid award package.
Great, thank you, Ron. And also I'm seeing several questions pop up related to health insurance. Now we know that it is an option, right? If people are already covered by their parents' insurance, they can opt out of the university health insurance. Can you just explain how that might save someone a little bit of money?
Certainly. Like I said, it's a mandatory health insurance. All UC students must have health insurance of some kind. So whether that is accepting the UC health insurance, or if you have your own health insurance through your parents or yourself. And if you do, then you may be eligible to waive the health insurance amount. If you waive it, that may change any Bobcat grant eligibility you have, which means that because we automatically assume that you are eligible to waive it. And so if you don't, then your Bobcat grant eligibility will go up. So we already make the assumption that you are eligible for a waiver. So if you're not, then we will adjust your Bobcat grant at a later point.
Great. And Ron, can you also explain the difference quickly between a subsidized loan, an unsubsidized loan, and a Parent Plus loan?
So as you see here, the subsidized loan, unsubsidized loan, the interest rate and the loan fees are the same. The real difference is when the interest on the loan begins. And the subsidized loan, there's no interest and no payments while you're in school, at least half time. Unsubsidized loan, the interest begins once the loan is dispersed, but you can elect not to pay the interest while you're in school. So the interest will capitalize while you're in school if you're not paying it, and will be added to your loan balance at the end when you graduate or drop below half-time enrollment. A Parent Plus loan, the parent is the borrower. The interest rate and loan fees are higher. It's similar to the unsubsidized loan in that the interest starts immediately once the loan is dispersed. And payments would begin unless you ask for a deferment of the payments until your student is out of school. And so during the period of deferment, your interest would continue to capitalize if you're not making payments, but you can elect that option if you don't want to start payments immediately.
Great, thank you so much, Ron. As I did mention, we are getting close to wrapping up. Ron, I'll just give you an opportunity. Is there any last minute words of advice or wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience? Anything particular to financial aid, what they should be aware of, dates and deadlines?
I would just say that because we have so many students, and like I said, about 1/3 or more of our students are selected for verification. As we go through the verification process, we have to manually look at each document and compare it to the aid application, and that's very time consuming. So the earlier you can get your verification documents into us, the quicker your verification will be completed. We have a lot of students who kind of wait to the very last minute to turn in their documents, and that creates a little bit of bottleneck for us as we're getting inundated with documents. So please submit them as quickly as possible. And the last thing I'd say is, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our Students First Center. They're very knowledgeable about everything across the campus. I mean, specifically our registrar's office, our admissions office, our student business services office, and financial aid offices, but they also have information about all kinds of other offices. So, and if they don't, they can direct you to the right person. So they're an awesome resource for our students. And I would just say, take advantage of that resource. And if you have any questions, please contact them.
That screen that you do see now is another good one to take a screenshot or use your smartphone to take a quick photo. All of those phone numbers, I promise you, will come in great handy as you get closer to the start of the semester and during the summer. As Ron did mention, there are important dates and deadlines for financial aid admissions as well. So definitely make sure that you are checking your email, checking your Connect platform for all of that information. This has been a wonderful opportunity for everyone to ask all their questions. I certainly hope that we were able to answer those for you. Looking at the chat and the Q&A box, it looks like we've pretty much gotten to everyone tonight. So thank you everyone for participating and being in attendance this evening with us, both behind the scenes as well as in our audience. Once again, we will be recording this, or it has been recorded, so this will be available in a couple days on the Become a Bobcat, a virtual series website. We will go ahead and drop that link into the chat for you as well, so you can check that later on. Also important to note that we will already actually have those slides available and translated for you into Spanish. We will soon be also doing an audio dub of that as well for this full presentation, so that will also be available and linked to you on the Become a Bobcat website. Now, I keep mentioning Become a Bobcat. Let me explain a little bit about what that program is all about. Over the next couple of months, we will be offering you over 40 different live events, just like this one, virtual, coming to you live right into the comfort of your home. And you will be able to not only explore different parts of our campus through virtual tours, but you will also be able to have the opportunity to take a look at the academic programs that we offer in each of our schools with the majors and course content. You will also be able to explore the research opportunities that we offer our students. We offer student panels, as well as some of the topics that will be coming up in the near future, just like this one about financial aid. We recently had a session on housing. That recording will be available shortly. We also have others coming up regarding Guardian Scholars, as well as study abroad. So just a couple quick topics. Hop on over to that website, get registered for as many of those events as you are interested in. Once again, we will make that link available to you in the chat box. This event this evening has been part of the Become a Bobcat, a virtual series. We focused on financial aid and understanding your financial aid award letter. Thank you so much for Ron for that great presentation. Once again, everyone behind the scenes. Before I let you go, let me also just give you one other quick little bit of information. We are so excited to be able to bring to you drive-through tours. We will also offer you the link to that website so that you can get registered for a drive-through tour. Basically, what a drive-through tour is exactly what it sounds like. You get to take a tour of our campus from the comfort of your vehicle. How amazing, right? You just, from the comfort of your car, you get to take a look at our beautiful campus. Everything from the older portion of our campus, which really isn't all that old, being the newest UC, as well as the newest portion that just opened in the fall of 2020. So go to that website, get registered, take a look at all the dates and times when those drive-through tours are available. Basically, also what happens is that you'll find a campus map and then be able to scan the QR codes at the different tour stops, and also be hearing from our student tour guides, giving you all the fun facts and figures about those parts of our beautiful campus. Once again, it's been a pleasure being your moderator this evening. Thank you once again for joining us. Take a moment to take a look at that Become a Bobcat website. We definitely hope to see you in a future session. Have a wonderful night.